Good day, everyone. We are the Group 5 from BSED III. And for today's video, we are going to talk about Product-Oriented Performance-Based Assessment.
The topics to be discussed are Product-Oriented Assessment,
Product-Oriented Learning Competencies,
Task Designing, Scoring Rubrics,
General and Holistic Rubrics,
and Process of Developing Scoring Rubrics.
Objectives. After studying this module, you should be able to describe what is product-oriented assessment,
Explain the learning competencies of Product-Oriented Assessment, discuss Task Designing and Product-Oriented Performance-Based Assessment,
explain each of the concepts that are to be considered in task designing product-oriented performance-based assessment,
explain each of the criteria of the scoring rubrics for Product-Oriented Assessment, and explain step-by-step in developing a scoring rubrics.
So what is product-oriented assessment? Product-oriented assessment is a kind of assessment wherein the assessor views and scores the final product made and not on the actual performance of making that product. It is concerned on the product alone and not on the process. It is more concerned to the outcome or the performance of the learner. So, this poses a challenge for teachers to design instruction that is task-oriented. The trend is based on the premise that learning needs to be connected to the lives of the students through relevant tasks that focus on student ability to use knowledge and skills in meaningful ways. In this case, performance-based tasks require performance-based assessment in which the actual student performance is assessed through a product, such as a completed project or work that demonstrate levels of task achievement. Next is the product-oriented learning competencies. Students' performance can be defined as targeted tasks that lead to a product or overall learning outcome. Products can include a wide range of student works that target specific skills. Some examples include communication skills such as those demonstrated in reading, writing, speaking, and listening, or psychomotor skills requiring physical abilities to perform a given task. Target tasks can also include behavior expectations targeting complex tasks that students are expected to achieve. Using rubrics is one way teachers can evaluate or assess student performance proficiency in any given task as relates to a final product or learning outcome. Rubrics can also provide valuable information about the degree to which student has achieved a defined learning outcome based on the specific criteria.
The product-oriented learning competencies are associated with the levels of expertise manifested by the product. There are at least 3 levels.
The first level is the novice or beginner's level. The finished product or project illustrates the minimum expected parts or functions.
The second level is skilled level. The finished product or project contains additional parts and function on the top of the minimum requirements which tend to enhance the output.
The third level is expert level. The finished product contains the basic minimum parts and function, have additional features in the top of minimum, and is aesthetically pleasing.
Then we have the example. The desired product is a representation of a cubic prism made out of a cardboard in elementary geometry lesson. The final product must be novice level. The product possesses correct dimensions side by side 5 by 5, the minimum expectations. Skilled level. The product is sturdy, made of durable cardboard, properly fastened and even edges. Expert level. The product is pleasing to the observer, properly colored for aesthetic purposes. Next is the task designing.
The task designing in product-oriented performance-based assessment may include the following concepts. The first, complexity. The level of complexity of the project needs to be within the range of ability of the students. Projects that are too simple tend to be uninteresting for the students, while projects that are too complicated will mostly frustrate them.
Second, appeal. The project or activity must be appealing to the students. It should be interesting enough so that students are encouraged to pursue until completion. It should lead to self-discovery of information to the students.
The next one is creativity. The project needs to encourage students to exercise creativity and divergent thinking. Given the same set of materials and the project inputs, how does one best present the project? It should lead to various possible ways of presenting the final product.
And last one, goal-based. The project is produced in order to attain a learning objective. The project assigned to the students is not just for the sake of producing something, but for the purpose of reinforcing learning.
Scoring rubrics. According to Brookhart 1990, scoring rubrics are descriptive scoring schemes that are developed by teachers or evaluators to guide the analysis of the products or processes of students' effort. The criteria for scoring rubrics are statements which identify what really counts in the final output. The following are the most often used major criteria for product assessment: the quality, creativity, comprehensiveness, accuracy, and aesthetics.
General and holistic rubrics is the rubric that is used to assess or evaluate a general or broad category task. Below is an example. Criteria: quality, rate in percent, 20%, creativity, 25%, comprehensiveness, 30%, accuracy, 50%, aesthetics, 10%, and a total of 100%. This is used in tasks of broad category and there is a need of quick judgment like a finished project of students.
Process of developing scoring rubrics. First step, according to Brookhart 1999, is the identification of the qualities and attributes that the teacher wishes to observe in the students' outputs that would demonstrate their level of proficiency. These qualities and attributes form the top level of scoring criteria for the rubrics.
Second step, a decision has to be made whether a holistic or analytic rubric will be appropriate. In analytic rubrics, each criterion is considered one by one and the description of the levels are made separately. So, there is a separate scoring schemes for each criterion or scoring factor. On the other hand, for holistic rubrics, the collection of criteria is considered throughout the construction of each level, and the result is a single descriptive scoring scheme.
And the third step, define the criteria for the top level of performance. After this, define the criteria for the lowest performance. In other words, the teacher is asked to determine the type of performance that would constitute the best performance and the worst performance so that it would not be difficult for the teacher to formulate the middle level performance. This approach would result in at least 3 levels of performance. It is, of course, possible to add levels for greater distinction between performances. For instance, we consider the middle level and best performance and come up with average performance. Then the middle level and the worst level of performance and come up with slightly below average. Performance levels, so we come up with 5 levels. Best performance, above average, average level, slightly below average, and worst level.
It is recommended that we include initially fewer levels of performance because it is quicker to administer, but if the levels cannot capture or describe some performances of the students, we expand or add levels. According to Brookhart 1999, a note of caution, it is suggested that each score category should be defined using descriptors of the word rather than value judgment about the word. For example, students' sentences contains no error in subject-verb agreements is preferable over students' sentences are good. The praise are good requires the evaluators to make judgment, whereas the praise no error is quantifiable.